let mommy film for a little bit? Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. As you can see, I have someone with me. This is Miles. He just fed, so he is a little bit tired. He's a little bit awake. He's probably staring at the fan right now above. So for today's video, I thought I would finally bring you his labor and delivery story. Happened a little bit fast. I apologize if you hear a lot of background noise. My dog is currently downstairs. My windows are open because it's such a nice day outside today. And we live near a little airport, so there's a bunch of airplanes too if you can hear those. But like I said, today I wanted to bring you his labor and delivery story. I love watching these videos. It gave an insight for me of kind of what to expect, anything like that. And I love just hearing other people's stories. So I wanted to bring you that today before I kind of forget everything that happened. And we'll see how he will let me do this. So let's get on into the video. Okay, so he was born on August 22nd at 4:48 a.m. Like I said, it happened kind of quickly. So it all started on the Friday before, which was August 20th. When I went in for my, I think it was my 38-week appointment. I would have been 38 weeks and 3 days at that point. So I had just a normal check-in, my weekly appointment there. And like I said in a video before, I believe they're not required to check you. They don't have to, but I was kind of interested to know how far I was because I was progressing with each appointment that I was having. So I went. And I had my husband and my dog were out waiting in the car for me because I thought it was just going to be a quick little checkup kind of thing. Always stretching for the sky. So I went in, had the checkup, everything was fine, and then I had her check me because I was interested. And then she was a little bit alarmed, not alarmed I would say, but kind of surprised, and I was about 5 centimeters dilated and 90% effaced, she said. So that was pretty far along for a first child that I was having. And I was explaining to her, she asked me how far away I lived from the hospital. I'm like, I live about 45 minutes away from the hospital that I was going to. And so she was a little bit like, okay, all right, well, let's get you checked out and make another appointment and we'll go from there. So I was at checkout and I was about to make an appointment for the next week for my next follow-up appointment. And I see her come out and she's like, actually, I talked to the other midwives and we want you to stay here for a little bit. I don't feel comfortable sending you home and then having something happen and have you come 45 minutes back. So, plus I explained to her that I was starting to feel some sort of sensation. I didn't know how exactly to describe it. It was almost like a tightening, but it wasn't bad at all. Like, nothing was really coming from it, and I felt it that Friday morning as well. So she said, you have two options. You can either just wait it out in a room for about an hour and then we can check you again to see what happens, or you can walk around outside, come back in an hour, and we'll go from there. So I call my husband who's in the car and I'm like, hey, so we can't leave. So we ended up just walking around outside with my dog for about an hour. Sorry, my dog is being ridiculous. There's people paving outside and it's gonna be a long day with her barking, I feel like. Anyways, so we walked around outside for about an hour. I went back in and got checked. She said I was more closer to a 6, and she's like, I'm calling labor and delivery. I'm like, okay, this might be happening. Let's go see what happens. So we go over to the main hospital. We are in my husband's car. We are not in my car. My car has the car seat, the base installed, all of my things in my car. We had my husband's car, which had nothing, and we had our dog. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, who's gonna take the dog? How are we gonna get our stuff? What's going on? So as we're heading over to the main portion of the hospital, calling my parents, I'm like, I need my car. Someone needs to get Lulu. This might be happening. This is crazy. So we get checked into basically labor and delivery triage. Get hooked up to a bunch of monitors. I stay there for maybe about 2 hours. Granted, my dog gets picked up by now. My car is here now. Thank you to my parents for doing that for us. And 2 hours go by. They say I'm still about a 5, maybe 5.5, and they discharged me to go home. That was Friday. Saturday came. we were going over to my parents for dinner, and so it was possibly around like 5 o'clock that we were leaving here, and those feelings started to come back. Friday after we left, I felt pretty much nothing. Those sensations went away, nothing, whatever. So Saturday, like I said, it was around 5 o'clock that we were heading over to my parents, and those feelings came back. It was a little bit more, I don't want to say intense because it wasn't that intense, but I could feel it just a little bit more. But I could feel it just a little bit more. So I'm like, okay, that's happening again. We go over to my parents, and I keep getting this feeling. My mom asked me, like, how often are you feeling these? I'm gonna shut my door real fast. Okay. My mom asked, how often are you feeling these? How long do they last? And I'm like, oh, well, it's maybe every few minutes or so, but they're only like 10-15 seconds long each. And so I start tracking them. They're about a minute long, but they're sporadic, anywhere from about 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do because we're 45 minutes away from the hospital. I ended up calling them, and they basically said you don't want to come in until it's the 5-1-1 rule. So 5 minutes apart, 1 minute each, lasting for an hour. And the last thing I wanted to do was get to the hospital and then be discharged, because again, we're not that close to the hospital. So they said don't come in until the 5-1-1. So I was like, okay. And I was really contemplating, it was about 9 o'clock now, contemplating, do we just want to go to the hospital or should we just go home? So I was still getting these feelings, again, not intense at all, just like a slight tightening of my stomach. But we decided to just go home. We live about 3 minutes away from my parents. So we decided to just go home. And then I was able to get a shower. I had my husband kind of time contractions while I was in the shower because I knew that that's probably what they were by now. They just started to fade away. We ended up able to, we got some sleep, possibly from, I don't know, like 10:30, 11 to about 2:30. My husband takes like Z-Quil to help him sleep at night. So he asked around 2:50 if he could take his Z-Quil to help him sleep. I'm like, yeah, sure, nothing's happening, whatever. Now, granted, his Z-Quil that he takes, for him, it absolutely knocks him out. So he takes this around 2:50. 3 in the morning hits. I'm like, Kevin, we need to leave now. All of a sudden, I felt this really, like, strong, intense contraction. I'm like, Kevin, we need to leave now. Like, this is no joke. Now. So we're rushing to get all of our stuff together. We leave. I'm having to basically almost like yell, I guess, through the contractions because they were coming fairly quickly and fairly strongly. I call my mom in the car. I'm like, you need to pick up Lulu in the morning. We're heading to the hospital right now. Like, this is real now. My husband's going down the main road pretty quickly. I'm like, just go, 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 go. We get about 15 minutes down the road and I'm like, my water just broke. I'm in my passenger seat of my car. I'm like, Kevin, my water just broke. And I start almost freaking out. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to have this baby on the side of the road in my car because again, the hospital's not that close. We did pass another hospital on the way to this other hospital, but I didn't want to stop there, but I was majorly considering it. So we get 15 minutes down the road and I'm pretty much yelling, Kevin, I need to call an ambulance. We need to call an ambulance. I don't want to do this in my car. We're not going to make it. Call the ambulance at about 3:20, I believe. They tell us to pull over to this one area. The ambulance gets dispatched around 3:26. They didn't get to us until about 3:45. So I was getting kind of angry. My husband, Kevin, he was getting kind of angry because we could have been to the hospital by now. But whatever, that's not the point anymore. I'm yelling at the dispatcher guy because again, these contractions are coming fairly strong and pretty quickly. My ambulance gets there about 3:45. They put me in the ambulance. My car ends up having to stay where we parked it. It was ended up at a church in a parking lot. Had to call my parents again and tell them to come get my car where it was. This whole thing is just turning into a bit of a mess. We're in the ambulance and he's making his way down to the hospital of my choice, which was the one that was still a little bit farther away. And I just remember telling them, like, we need to go faster. I feel like this baby is coming. I feel like I have to push. We need to go faster. So they ended up turning the sirens on. We go down. From there, it probably would have been about a 25-minute regular car ride. We were there in 15 minutes. So we get to the hospital around 4:10, I would say. They take me through the emergency entrance, which I am grateful now that we did take an ambulance, so I didn't have to go through regular triage and labor and delivery. Because like I said, we got there around 4 to 4:10. They take me up to this like one room because they wanted to check me, I guess, and see what was happening, if they could see anything, if they could see the head, something. And then they're like, oh yeah, she needs to get up to labor and delivery. Get up to labor and delivery. They transfer me over to my bed. So they transfer me over to the bed. And again, like I said, my husband has taken his Zequel already. So he's getting pretty tired because he took it right before we had to leave. So he's at my right side on my bed holding my hand and just being there. There's a couple doctors, a few nurses in there. I had this one amazing nurse on my left side. Holding that hand, making sure I was okay, talking to me through everything, asking me all these questions just to kind of keep my mind off of everything. Yeah, basically it was a few pushes, I think probably about 10-15 pushes or something, and 4:48 came and he was here. Just in absolute shock at the whole process that happened, because essentially it was less than 2 hours that I was in active labor, and it didn't leave me much time. It didn't leave any time for any sort of medication or IVs, so I didn't have time for any IVs, any medications, epidurals, anything like that. So he came 100% natural into this world. I can't believe I was able to do that. And yeah, he was born, like I said, at 4:48 a.m. He weighed 6 pounds 7 ounces and 20 inches long, and we are just so incredibly happy. It was a whirlwind. You came pretty quickly into this world, didn't you, buddy? Yeah. After he came, they did end up having to do I forget. I'm gonna insert the word right here because I absolutely forget the term that they had to do, but they did have to make a cut so that I wouldn't tear. So they were stitching me up. That was the only time I was ever poked with a needle my entire stay at the hospital. I didn't get an IV or anything. So they were taking care of me. My husband is now passed out on the couch because I was like, you can just fall asleep now, it's okay. And he is in his swaddle, sleeping away in the little bassinet. He's getting a little bit fussy right now. And that was it. That was everything. We made our way up to just a regular room, and we were there until the next afternoon. About a day and a half we were there, and it was awesome. We got to take this little boy home, and we are just so excited. His name is Miles Nathaniel. It's not a family name, anything like that. It was just a name that we absolutely loved and we think fits him perfectly. We are so incredibly happy that he is here, and I just honestly can't believe it. He's almost a month old right now. He was 4 weeks yesterday. He'll be a month old in 2 days after I'm filming this. The day after you see this, he will be a month old, and I can't believe that we have a 1 month old already. It seemed like it was just yesterday, but it seems like it was so long ago at the same time. So that is his story. He's getting a little bit fussy right now, so I think this is where I'm going to end this video. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and make sure to click that notification bell. I'm trying to upload videos every Tuesday, given that I can. It's a little bit difficult right now, but I am doing the best that I can to try to get back into more regular uploads for you guys. I believe the next one that you should be seeing is going to be a what's in my hospital bag versus what I actually use in my hospital bag, and that one's going to be kind of interesting. So I'm looking forward to filming that one for you guys. Leave in the comments down below if you have any questions, any ideas on future videos that you would like to see from me or us. That's about it. I hope you all are having an amazing day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.